Hey, welcome to the BroBryceHealth channel. My name is Bryce L. Tomlinson, and I'm getting the live chat window ready here. Let's get it going here. Gonna try to get as many people into the chat as possible, and let's see what we can do here. Let's see. Can we open this up? I'm not seeing a way to get the chat window going. I'm having some problems with XSplit Broadcaster, but it looks like the live stream is working. Let's see what we got going here. Trying to capture this chat, and I don't know how it's supposed to work here. Had problems last time capturing the chat as well, so there we go. Trying to make sure my sound is turned off here. And now, okay, let's give it a try here. Oh, this is getting goofy. You know that? I just don't know how to make this thing work correctly, but there we go. We have live chat. All right. So anyway, guys, today is Saturday. That means, and it's around 4 p.m. Today, it is time for the Saturday Live Keto Chat. Thank you, Mom, for joining. That's Joanne there. Appreciate you joining in the chat, and ask any questions that you like. We're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about the holidays. We're going to talk about what you do for meal planning when it's the holidays. And by the way, Mom, you would like to know, I found a stuffing recipe that just is so killer. It is so great. And I got it from Caveman Keto. And that's a website, and they've got some great recipes there. And their recipe for stuffing is incredible. We made it with chorizo, and had celery, it had sage, it had rosemary, it had all the good stuff that makes stuffing, and I made croutons from scratch using my own almond flour biscuit recipe, and some spices, and dried out my own croutons, made my own crouton cubes, and all of that business. So it was pretty fabulous. Amazing stuffing. And in fact, I made enough that I was able to freeze an extra batch for Christmas. So we had it for Thanksgiving, and we're going to have more for Christmas. As well, I made homemade cranberry sauce, and that is frozen as well, waiting to be thawed out for Christmas Eve. And that's when we're going to have our dinner. And I'm going to have a special dessert, which I will announce in a little while. Going to be giving away a book later on this hour, as I like to do every Saturday. I have a stack of books right here. And next time I will have another item to add to it. It's a DVD set. That'll be next week. I'll be giving away a DVD set of William Davis DVDs, including his Total Health DVD. And so there are some DVDs that will be available at that time. And but today we'll be giving away some books a little later, and we want to get into answering questions and doing check-ins and weigh-ins. My check-in this week, I'll just get that over with, is I am now down to 168 pounds. And my buddy Nate at work just started a couple weeks back, and he started doing keto, and he says that I'm underweight. He was an officer in the Marine Corps, and so he says that being 5'10", I'm supposed to be 180 pounds. Well, I'm 168 pounds, and I think I'm okay because I feel very strong. I can lift a ton of stuff. Although I look at myself in the mirror, I do think, man, that dude is pretty skinny. And I'm probably visually skinnier than I'd like to be, but I'm just way too lazy to want to, you know, go to a gym and like lift weights to enhance that at all. I mean, I work 8 hours a day at a warehouse store, so I think I'm getting my weightlifting in one way or another. I really do need to get this this XSplit broadcaster thing figured out, and I think it's got some glitches going on because of the fact that it tried to go through an upgrade or an update yesterday or the day before, and it didn't quite work because I had something else going on at the same time. So I will try to get that fixed, but my time, I would be doing more videos, but I just don't have time and energy after work. So Saturday is the best time for me because I don't have to work again until Tuesday. So I have time and energy left over for the day. And anyway, I see that we have one watcher. We have two watchers. Oh yeah. You want me to bring some stuffing to Portland? I will bring some stuffing to Portland. I will make some more. I'm sure I'm gonna keep that recipe completely in my file, and I'm gonna make a recipe card out of it, and definitely gonna be using it to the max. It's still not working, the live chat window thing. It's not showing on the stream, I don't think. Is the live chat not working on the stream? It looks like the live stream is frozen. Is the live stream frozen? Can you tell? I'm having trouble seeing what's going on. I mean, I'm seeing the live chat in my window here, but I don't see the live chat on the stream. And it looks frozen to me. I'm just going to type this in here. Because I think I'm lagged. Yeah, I don't really want to lose any more weight. Mom says don't lose any more weight. I don't really, I don't really want to lose any more weight. I've reached my goal weight and I'm happy where I'm at. I don't think I need to lose any more weight. I feel pretty skinny for for my height. I look pretty skinny for my height, and I just got some clothes that seem to fit, and they suddenly don't fit again. So I would like to be able to fit them. Mayonnaise being made while I'm on the stream. That's awesome. Not getting any interaction on the chat there. I'm trying to. XSplit is giving me a lot of pain right now. I'm thinking I might switch back to OBS. Oh no. We're gonna lose it. Losing the chat window. I can't read your comments over there, Jay. If you're watching this, you should click on the link to go to the video, and I'm going to try to see if I can read your comment offline. Commented on your link. Hi Jay, I see the chat is actually working and it doesn't look like it's frozen now. But it looked like it was frozen for quite a while. Jay, if you would click on the video, you can actually join the chat that's going to be recorded live, and this will be rebroadcast on YouTube. OBS is Open Broadcast Studio. That's what I was using previously to XSplit. XSplit's nice, but it's got kind of a steep learning curve. All these things that I use for streaming have a kind of a steep learning curve, but I'm learning how to do live streams on Facebook and on YouTube, and I want to try to do more of this kind of open chat Q&A stuff, and that way we can interact more. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about holiday stuff, but I'm also open to talking about any kind of nutritional science questions, or people have concerns about being on a high-fat diet. I know that that's very common. People are very concerned about being on a high-fat diet. People think that carbohydrates are essential. So I like to talk about, whether or not carbohydrates are essential, or we did do one talk about electrolytes. The concern that most people have about low carb, high fat is that it's very high fat, and the fat that we're talking about is, we do a lot of talk about saturated animal fat. There are some people that do keto that do it zero carb, and in fact, for a while, for the last 2 months, most of the time, I have been doing zero carb, where basically I'm just eating from the animal kingdom, eggs, meat, and no vegetables. And people think that that's not workable because, well, you need fiber in your diet. But most people who have problems with constipation and those kind of related things that people think that you need fiber for, it's actually usually electrolyte imbalance. And if you get your electrolytes right, everything works correctly. the fat issue seems to be problematic for a lot of people. They're very concerned. And I've seen, I went and got an ultrasound done on my heart a while back, and the person doing the ultrasound, when she found out what I was doing, that I was eating at that time 2 pounds of bacon a day and nothing else, she said, well, your arteries are going to, you know, come back at you. They're gonna request an apology or something to that effect. And I said, well, that's just not how it works. And she's like, well, that is how it works. No, that isn't how it works. And you're the one looking at the ultrasound. Tell me how years of eating mostly animal fat has affected my arteries. It hasn't. So still waiting on some questions. Anybody have any questions, or what they're going to plan on eating for the holidays? I know a lot of people plan on doing some drinking during the holidays. If it's Christmas Eve, or if it's the Christmas party, the office Christmas party, or it's going to be New Year's. Jay is asking to join BroBryceHealth. I think I can accommodate that. There we go. Thank you, Jay. Come on down. You know, I should actually open that up somehow. I try to keep the videos posted into the group page. Last week, I accidentally posted this live stream to my personal timeline, but the great side effect of that was that it got a lot more interaction from people, trying to get people to interact. Hey, Jay, welcome. Mom, this is Jay. Jay, this is my mom, Joanne. Jay is a guy that goes to our church, helps out a lot at the church, and somebody that I consider a good friend. So, Jay, meet my mom. Mom, meet Jay. And you guys are welcome to mingle as well and converse amongst yourselves as well. I'd love to address questions. And, you know, I had a really interesting conversation the other day. It's sort of an anecdote. And that lady this lady that I'm going to speak about, may be watching today. I don't know. I know that she said she was on Facebook, and I gave her the address of this group where she could find us. But her name is Patricia, and we met at Trader Joe's. I was grabbing some heavy cream, and there was a lady next to me, and she was looking at eggnog. And I like to buy my heavy cream at Trader Joe's because it's not because I think Trader Joe's is so special or anything, but it doesn't have any additives to it. It just has cream. And a lot of the cream that you buy in the stores has things like carrageenan or, you know, whatever kind of thickeners that it has. And I'm not crazy about that. So I buy cream. And I also have a friend at church who happens to own a dairy, and so I can get cream that way too. But I got cream at Trader Joe's, and there's this lady next to me. She's looking at the eggnog, and she goes, oh my gosh, she's looking at the ingredients. And whenever someone's looking at the ingredients of something, I'm always interested in what their response is. And she goes, oh my gosh. So I'm wondering, you know, what is she oh my goshing about? And she reveals to me that she goes, it has so much sugar in it. I can't believe it's got so much sugar in it. And I was like, uh-huh. And she goes, well, it doesn't need that much sugar. I says, I know a good recipe where you can make your own, you know. And I referred her to a recipe that that I looked at online that looks like a great eggnog recipe, which I will probably make for Christmas Eve. And so she goes, well, this and that, and we started this conversation about how carbohydrate is really problematic and how fat is really not problematic. And we got into this long conversation. I don't know, we were in there for like 45 minutes, and we had to move around because it was like, you know, standing room only. It was the after lunch rush of grocery shoppers trying to get home. And I just ended up tied up with this lady, and it was so pleasant. She was so nice to talk to, and it was great to have a moment with somebody that was actually very interested in what I was talking about. And you know, a lot of people feign interest, but this lady actually kind of knew some stuff, and she was talking about specific scientists, and I'd love to get reconnected with her. I have her phone number now, and I can reconnect with her. I would like to speak with her again about keto and various other things. She had some specific doctors that she thought I might be interested in looking up, so I'm interested. Anyway, what are some specific areas of nutrition that you're interested in knowing about? And this lady was she was very interested in like vitamin D and K2, which is a potassium. She wanted to know more about how vitamins are metabolized, and different sources of vitamins and things that we have traditionally thought, well, we need to get that from a multivitamin, or we need to get that from, like, for instance, you know, you think you get potassium from bananas, but bananas don't have nearly as much potassium as, say, cauliflower, for instance, or an avocado. An avocado has like 950 milligrams of potassium in it, and but still, you'd have to eat like 5 whole avocados to get your daily recommended allowance of potassium. So that wouldn't be very low carbohydrate, and it's kind of unrealistic. As I've said before, I kind of wonder, like, when they came up with these USRDA of potassium and this and that, I kind of wonder, who is this person that eats 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day, and what do they eat to get that? Because it's kind of hard to get that just from food. I really do wonder. But I do know that, you know, most of the problems that we have, especially like if we have problems with carb withdrawal or any of that stuff, it's usually from electrolyte imbalances. And a lot of times you're not really balancing out your electrolytes with the carbohydrates that you eat. It's just that once you get rid of those carbohydrates, your electrolyte imbalances come glaring out at you in the form of muscle cramps and carbohydrate withdrawals and all that stuff. Let's see if this freezes up the video. It looks like maybe. No, I don't think so. Anyway, so what are you guys doing right now? It is 4:33. We are about halfway through the live Saturday keto chat. In just a little while, I'm going to talk about the books that we'll give away this hour. I would like to give away this hour to anyone who is interested. Oh, you can't hear me? Is the audio not working? That's a bummer. Now, Jay, you know, I have figured out the secret to living mega on the cheap and doing keto. It's so cheap that you literally could not eat cup of soup or top ramen for cheaper than I do. You know, I have this app, and I got into this app because of the Bacon Experiment. The Bacon Experiment, they promote this app, and I don't think they're sponsored or anything, but it's Flip, F-L-I-P-P, this app, and this app gives you like all the store flyers locally, and it can be anything that you're looking for, grocery or anything, electronics, doesn't matter. But because of this app, I was able to search and find pork on sale at one of the local stores for 99 cents a pound. Pork sirloin. So I got 60 pounds of pork sirloin roasts. Now, they were these giant bags of 6 or 7 roasts in each one, and they were normally like $45 a piece for these big bags of roasts, and they were $13 a piece. So I got 60 pounds for $55. So almost all of us are gonna be able to eat for like $1.50 a day on these sirloin roasts. And because currently we're doing 0 carbs, so there's almost no other costs involved. There's, you know, and if you're involved in the food ministry at church, for instance, you can get free vegetables or stuff like that from church as well. So there are ways to do this on the cheap where you don't have to be kowtowing to the kind of dietary temptations that are around you. And you can just get eggs on the cheap. I know Sam's Club has some of the cheapest farm fresh eggs that are around. But you know, you're in a situation too where you could probably get chickens, and you could have eggs all year, more eggs than you know what to do with. And get some chickens and raise your own eggs and live off of that too, because eggs are almost the most perfect food on the planet. In fact, they may very well be the most perfect food on the planet. Lots and lots of wonderful nutrients in eggs. Hey, I see you guys. There's another watcher on here watching live. So thank you for that. Come on in and join the chat. And just so you know, I just saw a notification from Tony Thomas. I will be joining Tony on his YouTube channel, Old Nerd Reviews. for his Saturday live chat at 5 p.m. So after this chat is over with, I'll be joining Tony over there. He's got a great conversation going on over there. You know, I think that the carbohydrates, if we're going to talk about, consuming carbohydrates, while I don't think that carbohydrates are essential at all, and I don't necessarily think that it's required for one to eat vegetables. I think that vegetables is probably one of the easiest things to really enjoy and get nutrition from. And it's easy to cook, it's easy to prepare, or it's easy to eat raw. I mean, vegetables are great. You can eat them raw and you get more nutrition from them raw than you would from eating them cooked, but they're something easy to make your dishes better. But vegetables are a far better choice for carbohydrate than starchy things, cereal-based food, pastas and grains. And we get hung up on breads as though they're something that's essential. And we get to thinking, we get brainwashed by hacks like Barry Sears and people like that and things like What the Health, which is just vegan propaganda. Now, I have no problem with vegans. I think that that's a challenging route to go. And you're going to be dealing with some kinds of deficiencies that you're going to have to supplement with vigorously to keep up with. I'm not sure how it could be done to really balance out your omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. I'm not sure how that could be done. But a lot of what we see in nutritional guidelines is forced on us by a vegan agenda or a vegetarian agenda. And what I'm finding out even most recently is that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is actually actively involved in trying to sway the dietary guidelines, which I think is kind of flawed. There's not, our dietary guidelines are supposed to be based in science. And there really isn't any scientific evidence to show, a benefit to a vegetarian approach. There's propaganda, but there's no real science to show health benefits to a vegan or vegetarian approach. It introduces its own challenges, such as where do you get your proteins that are actually bioavailable, because vegetable sources of proteins are a lot less bioavailable. You have to eat a lot more, say broccoli, for instance, to get the same amount of bioavailable protein that you could get simply out of animal protein that is pretty much straight across translatable. I mean, to give you an example of bioavailability, diabetics, at least back when my dad was first diagnosed, when they're given insulin, one of the options that they would be given, at least back then, I'm not sure about now, was an option for pork insulin. And that's because pork insulin is very bioavailable. It was very assimilatable by the human body. And it was something that your body instantly recognized as insulin and just used it. And I think that's a great example of bioavailability. If you were to try to find a vegetable substitute for insulin, you would be hard pressed, which is why there's some synthetic insulins. And I'm not sure if they still use animal insulins, but I would think that it would be harder to make a synthetic or especially a vegetable equivalent. I'm not sure how they would do that. But I think that an animal equivalent of insulin is probably the best bet. And promoting a diet that actually reduces your reliance on insulin and thus creates an environment that may improve insulin sensitivity so that your insulin that you do use is better used. Tony left a comment on the link on the other side. He says, you will, yes, I will be joining you at 5, Tony. Still trying to get this XSplit broadcaster figured out, so I wish I had more time to experiment with it offline where I wasn't goofing around and trying to get everybody, everything working all at the same time. So Jay, what are you eating for breakfast? Let's look at it. And in the meantime, while we're getting ready to talk about that, here is a book that you can have if you want it. This is a great book. It was just recommended yesterday by the venerable Timothy Noakes, Dr. Timothy Noakes of South African fame. He is an ultra marathon runner. He is a medical doctor, Timothy Noakes, and he's very fit as a fiddle. He also happens to be one of the guys that are responsible for inventing those carbohydrate packs that runners use, and those carbohydrate packs made him type 2 diabetic, which he reversed by doing a low carbohydrate, high fat diet, which he now promotes regularly to his patients and to other people. And he speaks on the topic quite regularly. But I saw him yesterday on a live stream, and it was very enlightening, a lot of great stuff. But he recommends this book, The New Atkins for a New You workbook. And, well, not the workbook. Sorry, I was going to bring up the actual book. That's the workbook. This is the book, The New Atkins for a New You. And it's written by Eric Westman, MD, who is one of my role models in ketogenic nutrition. And it's also written by Stephen Phinney and Jeff Volek. Both of these, or all three of these doctors, are people who I highly respect in the keto community and with their knowledge of nutrition. I do think that this will get you started on a great role of toward good health. I do think that the Atkins books tend to promote Atkins products and the Atkins brand a little too much, a little more than Robert Atkins did when he was alive. I think that's a spin that the publishers put on the book, not necessarily the responsibility of Eric Westman and Stephen Phinney and Jeff Volek. The science in this book is crazy good. I would say I don't think that I would reintroduce grains, as it says on the back cover. I don't think I would reintroduce grains, and I don't think I would reintroduce most fruit into my diet, even if I was allowed to. I just don't see the benefit to it because I have a lot of great testimonial from having done away with those things. Anyway, you can have this book if you want it. I will send it to you in the mail, free of charge. Or you can have this book. This is a pocket edition of Gary Taubes' Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. Gary Taubes is a great science writer. And this book is also in the appendix to it. It also has the food list that I usually give to people that I am trying to introduce to this way of eating, this way of life, this lifestyle change. And it has in the appendix all of the rules and all of the foods that you get to eat there's so much here that there's a ton of stuff that you get to eat without restriction. And then there are foods that you're allowed in limited quantities. And then there's foods that you just don't go in on. Anyway, this book has a ton of great science in it. I have both this book, the pocket one, and this one, the normal paperback. You can have either one of these, Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. And there's another book that you can have. You can have one of these 4 books. This one is Wheat Belly by William Davis. I just got done watching one of the DVDs that I will be giving away next week. William Davis, MD, has done a lot of research on why we should not eat wheat. And the DVD tells you a lot about why he even started looking into that, because it's sort of crazy to think, well, how come we've been told all this time that we're supposed to eat wheat? And he kind of counters it with some real science. He talks about how gliadin, which is one of the factors, the controlling factors in wheat, it turns to opiates. It breaks down into opiates in your brain. So you are basically and that being on opiates all the time may enhance a schizophrenic effect, maybe even. There are other things in there. That's just one example of why I just don't ever want to reintroduce grain. But he talks about that in this book, Wheat Belly. So you can have any one of these books, and this is the workbook that goes with the new Atkins for a New You. If you want that and you already have the Atkins book, you can have that too. This is a workbook which you get to write in and keep track of your stuff. It's got blank pages set up for specific things, for journaling and stuff. So if you already have Atkins book, this is a great workbook for you. You can have that, or Wheat Belly, or Why We Get Fat, the pocket, or the regular paperback, or the new Atkins for New You. All you have to do is say, I'm interested in the book, and I will give it to you for free. If you're in the continental United States, I will either ship it to you. If you're here in Reno, I will give it to you. Free of charge, whichever one you want. You get one book, you get it for free, no questions asked. And I will send it right to you. You can have it free of charge. All you got to do is ask. And if you're watching this on the replay, check the date on the replay. If the book has not been claimed by the time you watch the replay, and you respond in the comments in the first 24 hours, I will give the book to you. So you're not restricted to if you saw this live, but if you see this on the replay, either on YouTube or on Facebook within the next 24 hours, and you're the first one to respond to that call for action, then the book is yours. Whichever book you choose, one book, yours free. And I hope that you enjoy it. But I have gotten a lot of use out of the information in these books. And I kind of cut my teeth on low carb on the first edition of the Atkins New Diet Revolution, or Atkins Diet Revolution. And that was when low carb really was first dubbed a fad diet. And now the more research I do, the more I realize that low carb has been kind of the fad diet of the last, 8 or 10,000 years before anybody created any kind of US guidelines or, nutritional guidelines on what we're supposed to eat. It wasn't until like 50 years ago that somebody in a position of authority in a government decided to tell us what to eat, because they felt like it was so urgent. The problem was so urgent that we could not go without telling people what to eat. We needed to fix this problem. And the problem was accelerated by the guidelines that were given to us. So go figure, see how that works. Anyway, we are coming to the last 8 minutes of the broadcast. And fellowship feast. Love to have more questions in this live chat session. That would be great. Maybe next week I will do it on my personal timeline again, and we'll mix it up, and we'll try and get people to move over here to where they're seeing the live streams. Hopefully Facebook will start putting the live streams in plain sight of everybody, but it seems like a lot of people aren't seeing the live stream being presented, even though it's public. That is not good. There. I wish I could lock the XSplit on a specific window and a specific area of the window, but I can't. It seems like anything that's residing in that area of the screen is having a problem, so. Yeah, it seemed like the when I posted it to my personal timeline, it got a lot more. It got a lot more interaction, which was great. I like that. You know, I could feed off of that for days. It seemed like we had just tons of people coming in. That was last week, or not last week, but the week before last. Last week, I totally spaced it, and we ended up out with my nieces, and I felt terrible about that. I came home and I was like, I missed my stream. That's like, you know, me skipping out and playing hooky, and I felt bad about it. So this week I wanted to make sure. We're getting my van worked on, and just before I was gonna start getting ready for the stream today, get a call from my wife and telling me that, you know, the van is at the mechanics right now, and she's telling me that the radiator needs to be replaced. So I need to run down to Napa and grab a radiator, and then I need to bring it to him. And I'm like, okay, so this is like an hour and a half before I'm supposed to go on the stream. So I managed to get home maybe 45 minutes before. So it didn't actually take me that long to do it, but I was kind of panicking. And hopefully the van is going to be in good shape after that. We're going to have some maintenance caught up on it, and the radiator definitely needed to be replaced because it was leaking. Tanks were leaking in the radiator. So I had to get a couple gallons of coolant and have the brand new radiator dropped in it. So that's fun. Anyway, we are coming up on the last 3 minutes of the broadcast, and I am going to leave you guys with some of the wonderful Glenn Case, who I really admire as a musician and I enjoy a lot. So I also need to figure out how to get this audio thing working, because it's not capturing the audio from my computer. So I'm very sorry that you'll be listening to it on this lavalier mic, but that's how it works until I can figure out how to make XSplit actually capture the audio. It just doesn't capture anything off of the output. Anyway, I'm going to sign off and leave you guys in the capable hands of Mr. Glenn Case, which you can find his music and listen to it on glenncase.com. You can find his music on Amazon, iTunes, and elsewhere. But Glenn Case is a great musician. Glenn, Glenn, Case.com. We will see you next week at 4 p.m. on Saturday for another edition of our live keto chat. In the meantime, here you go. Peace. We will see you next week at 4 p.m. on Saturday for another edition of our live keto. So much to squeeze in, but then again, that isn't what is on my mind. I am far behind because I find it so much better to unwind. Although there's so much done in before, do you think there's time for a quick one? The bird falls up fast, so many tasks, there's almost no way to catch up. Don't know where to start, it isn't smart, but I've got other plans for us. Although there's so much to be done, it could be fun. Do you think there's time for a quick one? Some say they have seen a gigantic living being, several stories high. We're all going to die. Oh no, run if you can, 'cause Tokyo, Japan is in for big trouble. Looks like Godzilla is real, and once he gets here, he'll reduce things to rubble. There's no time to pack. Run and don't look back. Careful where you hide. Many won't survive. By now, he's well on his way, and you're gonna pay if you don't get to race it. But look up in the skies, we're facing demise from an alien invasion. Yes, he is destructive, and we hope he won't advance. But as it turns out, he might just be our only chance. Save the lizard, he will make a stand. City filled with screens.